All right, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. So a big draft trade went down yesterday, between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints. Howie Roseman has done it again, back-to-back years. Made a big pre-draft trade. This one including obviously New Orleans Saints, Philadelphia Eagles. So the Philadelphia Eagles traded away picks 16 and 19, so two of their first round draft picks, and pick 194 in the sixth round to the New Orleans Saints. They get back They get back five picks in total from the New Orleans Saints. So a phenomenal haul, phenomenal trade by Howie Roseman. So they get back pick number 18 from the New Orleans Saints, pick 101, which is a third rounder, 237. And then they also get a 2023 first rounder from the Saints and a 2024 second rounder. So a phenomenal haul by Howie Roseman. The setting the Eagles up really for the future, and giving them the flexibility to possibly trade into the top 10 or top 5 for a quarterback next year, whether it be C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. But I guess the big questions are: does this really change what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do in this year's draft? And no, of course it doesn't. It doesn't. Here's the thing all along. I mean, we knew that they weren't going to keep all three first round draft picks all along. And I think if you thought otherwise, then you just aren't well informed with, Howie Roseman and the history of his deals. Um, but here's what I think. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are still going to go defense, and I still think they're going to go wide receiver. I still think that one of those first round picks is going to be a wide receiver. And then this gives them the opportunity but that extra third rounder, that gives them the opportunity to add more, more defenders, whether it be a linebacker, whether it be a cornerback. We'll have to see. My hope is that, they get a guy like, Devontae Wyatt or Devin Lloyd, or even maybe Kyer Elam, or hope maybe Derek Stingley falls to 15, and then at 18 they go ahead and grab a guy like Jameson Williams. And I think Jameson Williams is an interesting topic to think about now because obviously he's he Alabama wide receiver, but he transferred over from Ohio State. You go ahead and you draft Ohio State you go ahead and draft Alabama wide receiver Jameson Williams. Now, yes, is he injured? Yes, he's injured. He's probably not going to be able to play until week 5. But then you go ahead and you draft C.J. Stroud next year. Then C.J. Stroud has the ability to be paired with his former teammate, his former wide receiver Jameson Williams. And then the same could be said for either Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave, either one. So I think if they go ahead and draft any one of those three wide receivers in the first round, it would be a beautiful thing for them to pair those guys with C.J. Stroud next year. So we'll just have to see. So what does this all mean for Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts is on the clock. He it seems like he's going to get another prove it year, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I mean, the quarterback draft class is not as great as compared to some, and we all know that. I do still think, however, that it is vastly underrated, this year's draft class. It's interesting because I just saw something on the blog boards. It's like, weren't we talking about a quarterback last year when we traded our pick to Miami? And I saw that on the blog boards, and I was like, yeah, actually we were talking about Sam Howell. We were talking about trading up for Sam Howell. And then what happened? Sam Howell lost 4 of his skill players, and didn't have quite the year that he had last year without them. But he did make up for it by running with the ball a little bit more. So, my opinion still stays the same. While it's not as great compared to some, it is a vastly underrated quarterback class in this year's draft. So fans are just funny, the way that they can just their opinions can just waver. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think this changes the plans. I don't think this changes their minds from going from making a big move at wide receiver in the draft. And I'll say that again, in the draft. DK Metcalf is not coming to Philadelphia. Excuse me. DK Metcalf is not coming to Philadelphia. AJ Brown is not coming to Philadelphia. They're not going to overpay and overtrade. They're not going to overpay in a trade for one of these wide receivers. They're just not. That's not their focus. They're not even in that ballpark right now. DK Metcalf or AJ Brown is going to command a huge deal, and we're not in the space to do that. We're not in the space to do that right now. We have so many other holes to fill that we just can't go, shelling out Tyreek Hill type money to AJ Brown or DK Metcalf, which is what it's going to cost. So DK Metcalf, a trade for DK Metcalf or AJ Brown is going to be equal to or more than a Tyreek Hill type of trade. So, I mean, I'm not ready to give up all of that money, or all of those draft picks, all of that draft capital, or even all of that money. So, but what is the key? The key, now that we have more picks, what is the key? The key is Howie Roseman needs to hit on these draft picks. That's the key. So, these draft picks don't really mean anything until you hit on them. And could the Philadelphia Eagles still go with a quarterback in this year's draft? Yeah, they possibly could. I mean, look, here's the thing. If Kenny Pickett or, let's say, Malik Willis falls to 18, you don't think that they're going to think about it? There is a recent report on Bleacher Report that just came out that said just because we acquired a first rounder for next year doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go quarterback next year. As we know, Howie Roseman has been, the team has been in on Kenny Pickett. The team has been in on Malik Willis. So there's many different things that can happen. I think that there's still going to be some more draft day trades that go on. Obviously, we saw this last year, right? Philadelphia Eagles traded back with the Miami Dolphins, acquired a first-round pick, and then on draft day, they traded up with the Dallas Cowboys to jump the New York Giants, take Devontae Smith. Could we see something like that now that the Philadelphia Eagles have an extra third-round pick? Yes, it does give them the flexibility more so to move up for, say, maybe a Sauce Gardner or a Kyle Hamilton, which I don't think is going to happen because Howie Roseman, with his history, has never moved up for a safety, let alone taken one in between the picks 15 to 20. So even if Kyle Hamilton falls, I don't know if Howie Roseman's going to take him. Or maybe a Derek Stingley. You know what I mean? Or maybe they're eyeing a guy like Jordan Davis and they have to move up for him and then they go ahead and take him. There's so many different scenarios, but it is a early Tuesday morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Good morning. I'm still waking up. I still got my coffee here, so we're still in the midst of the grind. There's certainly a lot to look forward to. One of those things is the Eagles are going to be able to bring back Kelly Green in 2024, per Jeffrey Lurie. They're not going to be able to bring back the Kelly Green or wear the Kelly Green this year, but they were given the go-ahead that they can go ahead and wear the Kelly Green uniforms in 2024. So apparently they're going instead. They're going to be wearing. There's going to be an all-black uniform that they will be wearing at some point this season. So that's going to be interesting to see. That is going to be interesting to see. So, But we'll see. In the blog boards also, people talking about, a top 4 cornerback at 16, best wide receiver, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, or linebacker available at 18, 51, and 83. Interesting. Interesting. Um, yeah, like I said, guys, I still think that it's either going to be wide receiver or defense at 15 or 18. Depends on what comes first. Depends on what comes first. Like if you have Garrett Wilson sitting there at 15, do you not take Garrett Wilson? Do you not take Garrett Wilson? I mean, honestly, like if Garrett Wilson is still there at 15, do you not take Garrett Wilson? That's my. I mean that's my question. I would totally take Garrett Wilson at 15. He's going to be a phenomenal player. He's going to be a phenomenal player. Personally, I think Chris Olave. I think if Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jameson Williams are still on the board at 15, I think Chris Olave and Jameson Williams will still be on the board at 18. But Garrett Wilson, I don't know. And what are the Saints going to do? What are the Saints going to do now that they have the 16th pick? Are they going to what are they going to do? A lot of people think that they're going to draft an offensive tackle, and that is why they felt that they needed to jump the Chargers. That makes sense. Offensive tackle Trevor Penning would be a phenomenal selection for them at pick 16. It would be great. It would be phenomenal if he falls that far. It would be a great value pick for the Saints. But here's the thing too. I thought about this is, everybody's talking about the Eagles trading back, acquiring that extra first rounder for next year to possibly trade up into the top 5 or whatever for a quarterback like CJ Stroud. The Saints, there are multiple teams with multiple first round picks this year. Any one of these teams could trade one of their first round picks and acquire another first round pick next year. Any one of them. The Eagles are not going to be without competitors for next year's quarterback draft class. But as it looks right now, on paper, pending any other moves, it does look like Jalen Hurts is going to be the starting quarterback for the full year next year. But we will have to see. Dan Cilio brought up an interesting conversation on his show, on Bird, and on Jacob Media, and that is that these guys aren't working out together. The guys on the current team are not working out together. The quarterback, wide receivers, so it's like, what's going on? The offensive line, Lane Johnson usually invites the rest of the offensive line down to where he is during the summer, and Jalen Hurts is off in wherever he is training with Tom House. But what are our current wide receivers doing? What are they sitting on the couch eating M&Ms? Eating popcorn, watching movies. What are they doing? Why aren't they training with Jalen Hurts? It's an interesting question to bring up. It's like that's not how you build a team. That's not how you build team camaraderie. It's not how you build team chemistry. That's not how you build a championship team. This is not the team from 2017. It's not even close, to be completely honest. The team from 2017, I'm pretty sure had a phenomenal attendance rate for camp, even the practices that weren't mandatory, so who knows? And you know what I think it's in regards to the fact that Howie Roseman and this staff, they just don't have complete faith in this roster. So it's kind of being run that way. Who knows? I don't know. But then again, there are certain things that I disagree with on Dan Sileo. Dan Sileo thinks that we should bring in Antonio Brown and thinks that would be a good move. Antonio Brown doesn't even want to fucking play football. His heart's not in the game of football anymore. His heart's in the stats. You know what I mean? In fact, I don't even know if his heart's in the stats. His heart's nowhere. I don't know where the fuck his heart is. But it's not in the game of football. Bringing him into Philadelphia would be a huge, drastic, colossal mistake. And honestly, he should never get to play again. Antonio Brown. Sometimes the things that Dan Sileo says just are fucking retarded. Honestly. And then you get Barrett Brooks on there, who's supposed to be a Philly guy, but all he says is ah da da, ah da da. I don't know. So, but I do think that there's something to be said for the fact that, this person who commented on this blog board, on this Eagles chat board, weren't we talking about trading for a quarterback last year when we traded with the Dolphins? And yeah, we were talking about Sam Howell. We were talking about trading up for Sam Howell when we made that trade with the Dolphins. Birdman, what's up, my man? What's good? What are your thoughts on that? When we made that trade with the Dolphins last year, at that point in time, we were talking about trading up for Sam Howell in this year's draft class. But just because Sam Howell lost 4 of his skill players, he didn't have quite the year that he had last year. And so he didn't have quite the output because he lost 4 of those skill players in the draft. And so he ended up running with the ball a little bit more to make up for it. And now everybody's shitting on this draft class. Again, my opinion still holds. And that's this. While this draft class is not as great, compared to some, it's still vastly underrated. There's at least 3 of these quarterbacks that are better than Ryan Tannehill. At least 3 of these quarterbacks might be at least Kirk Cousins. Facts. And what's wrong with Kirk Cousins? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with Kirk Cousins. You know what I think the problem is in Minnesota? Coaching. That's what I think the problem is in Minnesota. Coaching. It's always been coaching. I mean, we'll just have to see. Look, because they traded, I want to get Birdman. Happy Tuesday, my dude, and good morning. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on the trade between the Eagles and the Saints, and recent reports on Bleacher Report came out saying that just because we acquired an extra first next year doesn't necessarily mean we made that trade for a quarterback in next year's draft class. While I get that, that's kind of contingent on how Jalen does, obviously, but they are still looking at Kenny Pickett. They are still looking at Malik Willis. My thing is that if Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis is there at 18, the pick that we just got from the Saints, but the pick that we just got from the Saints, you can't tell me that they're not going to consider it. Birdman 951 says, not overly excited because we are having to wait, but it is what it is. We might not have to wait. That's what I'm saying. Look, there's multiple teams with first-round draft picks this year. any one of these teams can still trade out of the first round with one of those draft picks, for a future first rounder next year. It's not like the Eagles are going to go into next year's draft class without competition for that quarterback class. While it would be great to say, oh yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles just traded back. They got the Saints number one, first round pick next year, and that guarantees them a shot at C.J. Stroud. Yeah, it guarantees that. I guess it gives them a shot, but does it guarantee them? Does it guarantee them? The ability to take C.J. Stroud? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The Giants have 2 picks in the top 10. Giants have 2 picks in the top 10. And if the Giants want to trade one of those 2 top 10 picks, they're going to get a bigger haul than we got from the Saints. Well, I love the trade. I think the trade is great. I don't think it changes what we do at the wide receiver position in this year's draft. I still think that we're going to take a wide receiver in the first round. And I think it's going to be either Chris Olave or Jameson Williams or Garrett Wilson. And I honestly think that even though Jameson Williams is still injured, I don't think that that's going to phase them whatsoever from taking him in the first round. And that's gonna stir some panic with the Philadelphia Eagles fans. Of course it is. It's gonna cause some frustration. But honestly, once he comes back in week 5, and once he gets his groove back in week 7, nobody's gonna be thinking about it. Oh, not today, man. Birdman says you can send me a link and I can call in. Not today. I'm still going through like a head cold, and so I don't want to. I don't want it to sound too terrible. But I'm going to be back on a little bit later, though. I just wanted to jump on here real quick and report this trade. Look, I think it means Jalen Hurts is on the clock. As of right now, he is the quarterback for 2022. The trade looks good because the Saints are going to be without Alvin Kamara for the year because of the legal trouble that he got in. This is going to be a New Orleans Saints team that doesn't have Sean Payton as its head coach. It's going to be, a New Orleans Saints team that has Denny Green as their new head coach. And Denny Green did not end his career well. Before he left coaching. So I'm not too worried about it. They have a really, really tough schedule. They play the AFC North and the NFC West. So that's 8 games of really tough. Those are going to be really 8 tough ball games for the New Orleans Saints in this year's season. It is possible the Philadelphia Eagles are going to get a phenomenal draft pick from the Saints in the first round next year. Jalen Hurts is on the clock. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think it really changed. I don't think that the fact that they traded this first round pick changes anything. We knew that they were going to trade a first round. We knew that they were going to trade one of the 3. They still took Kenny Pickett out for dinner. They still took, they still followed Malik Willis around everywhere. They got Sauce Gardner coming in for a visit this week. It gives them the flexibility with the extra third-round pick to go up and trade for Sauce Gardner if they want to. Will they be able to do it? I don't know. But a lot of people are thinking that this gives them the ability to trade up for Kyle Hamilton. There's no way in hell Howie Roseman is ever going to trade up for a safety. It's not going to happen. It's right up there with drafting a linebacker in the first round. It's right up there with drafting a linebacker in the first round. He just doesn't take safeties early in the draft. He just doesn't. So anyway, excuse me. This is DB talking now. DB talking Birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. I will be back on with you guys later. I have the next 3 days off from work, so I will be back on tomorrow as well. But one love. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Birdman, thanks for joining in, my man. DB talking now. DB talking Birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. DB talking now podcast. Go Birds, baby.